Hello, everybody, and welcome to Positive Fandom Sunday Brunch. I am your host, Mmmm, and of course, we have with us today Russ Whitfield. Russ, how are you today?
Well, apologies. I was late for the stream. Like I literally arrived less than 60 seconds ago. I was sat down catching up on Andor, and I looked down at the clock and it was like, oh shit, it's time for the show. So I've yet to complete this episode, but no, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a little overcast and gloomy outside, but honestly, Russ, after so many great shows and, tonight with which I hope is the culmination of the finale of House of the Dragon, I couldn't be feeling any better right now. I just have so much positivity in me. I'm excited. What a bunch of fantastic programming we've been seeing and films. And of course, I want to start off by saying, hello to everybody. Hello, Mario Lopez. Good
Hey,
morning to
Maria.
you. And of course, to Tom Jr. Jackson. We are all goof people, Tom. How are you today, Tom? Hope you are well. Also, uh, BC, aka the new Dark Shadow, says hello to us. Well, hello to you. I'm trying to. Oh, there we go. Oh, and he says, hello, everyone. A smiley face. We're at 8 days till Halloween. Yes, Halloween is just around the corner, guys. Maybe some of you have already picked out your costumes. You could say what you're going to be for Halloween. It's literally next week, everybody. So it is an exciting time. Retro Nerd Girl. Retro
There
Nerd
she is.
Girl's here. And she says, hello, everyone. Let's do brunch. Absolutely, guys. I hope you have your mimosa, tea, bagels, coffee, whatever you prefer ready. This is going to be a fantastic show today. I'm so excited. Gosh, I'm so
Yeah, I'm
excited.
I'm so late. I didn't even have time to make a cup of tea. Like the
Why don't
kettle
you go
didn't.
ahead and make your cup of tea, Russ? Because we cannot do Sunday brunch right without a proper cup of tea, Russ. Go ahead and make your
Well,
tea.
I'll
I'll
go
be
put the
here.
kettle back on.
Yes, I'll be here when you get back, Russ. Um, so Russ is going to go ahead and make that tea for himself. And we also have Dino Dinosaur. Hello, Dino Dinosaur. He says, good afternoon from London. Well, good afternoon to you. We hope you are well over there. For certain. So nice that you are here with us this morning. And Tom Jr. Jackson says, guys, please check out Retro Nude Girl's channel and her latest video on the 1989 cult classic Millennium, one of my favorite science fiction movies of all time. I love Millennium. God bless you, Retro Nerd Girl, for covering all those fantastic films we love with your special touch. Guys, check out Retro Nerd Girl's channel. I can't wait to see this review of Millennium. Certainly, in one of my favorite lines from that film, and I'm sure Retro Nerd Girl will remember this, and many of you will. In the confusion, a stunner was lost, guys. So definitely, please check out Millennium on Retro Nerd Girl's channel. The link is in the chat, everybody. And we also have Darth Plato. Darth Plato is here with us. Salwe, Darth Plato. We have Ignition. Yes, we have Ignition. We can rebuild him. We can. It's all happening, everybody. This is Sunday brunch. We're going to be talking about all the things we love. And Russ is back, guys, with his cup of tea. He is ready to engage. Darth Plato says we have Ignition. Yes, and
We
we can
do.
rebuild him. We have the technology. It's great. And guys, always remember, you can go ahead and make a donation to the channel through Stream Elements. That's in the bio, in the description of the show today. Certainly do remember that. Dennis Mason says, oh, sugar, time for the show. Yes, Dennis,
Literally
time.
me. Literally me 2 minutes ago. Oh my God.
That's okay. You know something? It means that you're enjoying life. And sometimes, while you're in the middle of something else comes up. It's okay when that happens. Just glad that you all are here, especially you, Russ. Just so happy you are here. And also, who else do we have? Darth Plato says second breakfast. Well,
Yeah.
yes, perhaps. um, who else do we have? Mikey Lito. Mikey Lito is here. everybody. Certainly wonderful to see you. Mikey Lito says to Russ, hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again.
Mhm.
I should
The
say
great
it in a more
hello,
kind of
darkness,
folk
my old
songy way,
friend.
but
Yeah. Hey,
hello,
Mikey.
darkness, my old friend. Okay. Also, good morning to well, good morning to you, Mikey Lito, Tom, and all the positive fandom chat. Yes, good morning. So wonderful to have you here, Mikey Lito. Mikey Lito also has his own YouTube channel, so do check out his reviews. He did drop a review for Black Adam straight out of the theater this week. Hello,
Do you know,
Jerry
I haven't
Mendoza.
checked that out yet. I must check that out, Mikey. Sorry.
Yeah, of course. Jerry, welcome to the show this morning. Great to see you here. And Renz Tolentino is here. Of course, Renz Tolentino, we know him for this incredible artwork that Renz makes. We just love his work. Renz, we hope you are well. Renz says, good morning, everyone. And we also have Bye for the Hobbit. Yes, hi. He says, hi. Well, hello, Bye for. So good to see you. And so good to see all of you there today, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Brunch. There's so much to talk about. I have been so pumped up and psyched and just enjoying myself. Russ, what should we talk about first?
Dude, I've got to go there with Andor. Like you called it at the beginning in your introduction there. After so many, it's seemingly years actually, with a few sort of bright spots like Cobra Kai or whatever popping up every now and again, there's been a dearth of shitty entertainment, really, hasn't there? But now, all of a sudden, 2023, 2022, 2023, we looking like things have made a turn for the better. I am so gripped by this show. I was upset. I think what's his name? The guy that does the stats, Culture Casino, I think. Was talking about the Nielsen ratings for Andor, and the Star Wars brand has been so sort of damaged by its sort of Disney mishandling that very few people are actually watching this show, and they're missing out on a treat. I was so gripped when I came running into the room here. It was the piece in. Sorry, guys, if you've not seen the latest episode, there will be spoilers.
Oh, yes, I
Uh,
should put that down.
yeah, for this and Black Adam, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, our has cut herself off. But yeah, so spoiler warnings ahead for Andor. I was late for the show because I thought I'll put it on. I'll get it on in time to be in time for this show. There she is. She's back again.
My little butterfingers, I pulled
Yeah.
myself out of the screen trying to get the banner, but that's okay. So
No worries. No,
here.
I was just spit, but I was killing time till you came back. Don't worry. Yeah. So I thought I'll watch the show before. I'll watch Andor before our show here, and I thought I'd have enough time, and of course I didn't. I got to the part where they're in the ISB office, and the one Imperial officer challenges Deirdre, and he's saying, you know, like, you've been doing this and you've been doing that, but of course it goes wrong for him, and she gets a pat on the back from her superior. Uh, and then I looked down at the clock, and it was 15:29. Oh my god! I cannot say how great the writing is in this show. I love the fact that it's so in a fantastical galaxy, of course, but it's so realistic in the way that people do their thing. So it's not like Andor now all of a sudden, having done this bank job, is now a committed rebel to the cause. He wants to be, no, he's taken his money, he's gone home, he tried to get his adopted mum to come with him, she wouldn't go. He goes and sees the girl, expecting her to sort of be impressed with him and all that. She doesn't want to go. She stays here, tells him to sling his hook. We then get the scene in the Imperial office, which was just so well acted. The seething resentment between these two characters was just there for all to see. And then Andor does what any guy would do, having made a big score. He goes off to the Star Wars Galaxy equivalent of Miami, and he's got a hot chick, and he's spending his cash. I mean, I was like, oh, and then, oh my God, that here's, now we are in time for the show. So I've yet to finish watching that. I can't wait. As soon as we're done here, I'm going to go back in there and finish off watching it. And then I'm going to roll on to House of the Dragon, which I also haven't seen. I've had a bit of a busy week in terms of my personal life. I say my personal life, my daughter's personal life. She's taken to boxing very seriously. She's training pretty much every day, and she's got a fight coming up, her first fight on the 20th of November in a big hall in London. It's called the Clapham Grand, and it's a proper thing. That's 30 quid a ticket or 450 quid for VIP and all of that stuff. So it's a major fight, and but she trains quite far away. So all right, she's 18, she's an adult, but I go and pick her up and bring her a dinner in a little Tupperware because that's what I do. But yeah, so I haven't had much time to sort of really sit and watch things. But what I did watch yesterday, of course, was Black Adam.
Yes, absolutely, Russ. First of all, congratulations to your daughter on her upcoming fight. We are so excited and wish her all the best. I know she's going to be splendid in it. Certainly very exciting. And also, I wanted to say, guys, Tom Jr. Jackson also has his Instagram channel and his own YouTube channel. If you like Funkos, if you like Funko Adventures, then Tom Jr. Jackson's Instagram is the Instagram for you. Check out his Instagram for Funko Adventures. I love them all. And his YouTube channel for movie reviews. He's having a spooktacular October review of so many classic horror films. In fact, he enticed me to watch a classic. Last night I watched The Howling from 1980 or whatever day it was, year it was published.
Yeah, 1981, right? Hey, I'll answer a question here. It's my area of expertise. Jerry Mendoza asks, what's the American equivalent of a quid? A quid is a pound, so that would be a buck. There you go.
Yes. Thank you for
entertaining and educating here on Positive Fandom, guys.
Yes. And I also, the other movie I watched, I don't know why I feel like I'm compelled to share this, is An American Werewolf in London. So I kind of love that show as well. Good morning to you, Joe Tyson.
Hey, Joe.
Hope you are well. As well as, let's see, where are we? Well, Mikey Lito makes a point about Andor when he says, when someone is embarrassed, they come back with vigor, with your back, watch your back, female eyes be officer. And
that's literally what her boss says. He says, I want a word with you. And he says, well done. And then, but what's your back? So they've done such a brilliant job on this program. We're supposed to root for the rebels, I suppose. But even when I was a kid, when I first saw the Stormtroopers, I thought they were cool. Like, I've always liked the Empire, right? But they've always been portrayed as either incompetent or utterly evil. But here we have a show where the Empire itself is bad, but it's just populated by people who are trying to do a good job in the form of Deirdre and Cyril. Cyril, whose life goes from bad to worse. Like, he ends up in this office complex, like in a cubicle, and we spoke about this a little while ago, didn't we? And some people think he might turn to the rebellion. And I'm kind of hoping that he doesn't. I kind of hope that he ends up, as he says, no, there was incompetence. I'm going to clear my name. This has got to stop. And he's like, I'm kind of hoping he teams up with Deirdre and, they become a force in the Empire. Like, we all know that the Empire is going to lose in the end, but I kind of, there's no goodies or baddies in this show, really, are there? There are Imperials doing their job. There are people that are fed up. And that whole scene with Mon Mothma and the banker, and she keeps going, smile, we're chatting about our school days. You might find my politics a little bit extreme as well. And it's so beautifully acted. And it's a tragedy, isn't it, that Star Wars has been kicked repeatedly in the balls so many times, so badly mismanaged by creatives that I believe have just become lazy. And I think that that's the tragedy of Star Wars. If you look at Obi-Wan and you look at Book of Boba Fett, which I guess are the two sort of like stellar examples of recent bad Star Wars, they seem to have been put together by people who are like, fuck it, it's Star Wars. People are going to watch this. All we got to do is stick Obi-Wan's name on it or Boba Fett's name on it, and people will come in their droves. And actually, they did. And the shows were subpar. Here we have a show that's not been seen by anybody, but absolutely gets Star Wars, absolutely gets that universe. There's so little fan service in that show. But when you get that little bit of fan service, you're like, oh my God. I just remember when Cyril and his new boss are walking through that office complex and you get the little dog droid, bam, 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 just little things like that. You see it and you're like, oh yeah. And we saw this, Andor's having a flashback and he sees the stormtroopers, but they're not stormtroopers, they're still clone troopers, and the clone troopers, it's just, oh man, like I just want to chef's kiss it. It's absolutely fantastic. So
Well,
yeah, I mean, I'm enthused. And you know what's great? This channel is called Positive Fandom. And as you said at the front end, it's so good to be hyped. Like I am completely hyped about this. I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. That's a song, isn't it?
No, yeah, yeah, absolutely. This is amazing that we are at this point, because things certainly didn't feel this way a few weeks ago or even a few months ago, as we were going through what I would call a very difficult period during the Kenobi slash Boba Fett era of shows, where we had all the hope in the world and they kind of let us down. And Retro Nerd Girl is here talking about how people are saying it's slow. And I get that, but honestly, they have to take time to tell a story. We've really never seen these characters in this context like this before. We've seen them, but not in this detail. There's a lot to talk about. And you talked about Deidre, the officer there, and how she's probably going to go ahead, and she's someone who takes risks. And I think that she's going to meet up with that other officer, that guy who was discharged from that, who got sent home to mama. I have
Cyril.
Cyril
Khan.
Feeling that she's going to meet up with him because he takes risks. So they have that in common. Then they understand they're willing to go that extra mile, take a risk, put their necks on the line in order to get ahead. And so
to protect the empire. It's like it's I mean, people say that America is like the new empire, but this is very Roman in its thing. Like they go to places, they conquer places, they put in imperial justice, they bring in laws, they do all these things. Yeah, and yes, they're exploitative, but they're also providing law and order, or tyranny if you're a rebel. And these people are hard chargers. She wants to do well. She wants to be sitting in her boss's seat when she's older. And Cyril the same. Cyril took a risk and it didn't pay off. But what I was concerned about was then, as I say, he's going to turn all rebellious and also the empire and all that kind of thing. But it seems, and I could be wrong, he's out to clear his name. He's out to get the job done. He believes in the empire. And if you think about it, with the Romans or in the case of Star Wars, there are people that believe in the empire. They do think it's right. They are happy that there's peace and stability, and there's not, the world isn't full of pirates and criminals and huts and all these kinds of things exploiting them. They've got a strong garrison wherever they live, and there's law and order, and they can go about their daily jobs, and everyone's a winner. I love it. I love it.
Well, I say that Cyril took a chance and he didn't get the result he was hoping for, but it will pay off for him. It did two things. The first thing is that it singled him out, at a time or like in a place where nobody knew who the hell he was. But now the whole division knows who he is. So that's the first thing. And they know him more than his commanding officer, who's like, well, I didn't have anything to do with this. This has nothing to do with me. He's the one that did that. And so now the attention gets focused on him. But the second thing that it did was that it made the empire find that wayfinder. And that's the key element in this story. That's the thing that has now brought Deidre into being curious about this.
Well, she literally says that, doesn't she? Or she says, yes, if I was a rebel, this is what I do. You're right. It's not organized. Never climb. I love that quote. Never climb the same fence twice. And then literally in this episode, Andor climbs over the fence that he used to climb over to go and see the girl. I just loved that. I just thought it was so good. And Retro No Girl, it sort of scrolled past a little bit. We'll get onto that, Gary, in a little while. Deirdre now has access to Cyril's section. I can see a team up with the two of them as well, is what Retro No Girl. And I hadn't put 2 and 2 together, but just spot on. Like now they're in the same sphere. And if he's being a hard charger, can you imagine him doing what he's not supposed to be doing in the cause of righteousness, like she has been bending the rules and using Imperial Acts to get hold of information? I can see him in this fuel job that he's got going outside of his remit and perhaps now coming to Deirdre's attention and saying, oh, this guy seems to be on the same trail as me. But of course, she doesn't know that Andor's responsible for this or part of the responsibility for this robbery. Cyril doesn't know that. But I am guessing, and it is only a guess because I don't know where they're going with this show, that they're both going to go after Andor. And
I agree. And it's going to be, in Cyril's case, because he can't let it go. We knew he couldn't let it go because he took something home with him. He took that puck, the identification puck or whatever it's called. And he had the audacity to tell his boss that why he got fired from his last job. And the boss is like, well, we'll remove that from your resume. Yeah. But he can't keep his mouth shut. He'll somehow cross paths with this woman once she finds out that there was an altercation of where the waypoint was found. She'll have no choice but to seek Cyril out. And so that's how I see the two of them kind of connecting. At least that's my prediction, guys. I could be wrong, but I have a strong feeling that that's what's going to happen. And I did want to mention Gary Bando Sandwich, who says, what does he say? I can't read now. Excuse me.
Andor bad, good, Black Adam bad.
Black Adam bad. Oh no. Well, I did want to mention, Gary sent me a message about how over the last weekend or so he wasn't here because he was at the Liverpool Anime and Gaming Con. So I did want to mention that he sent me a link on his YouTube channel, guys. Go to Gary Bando Sandwich's YouTube channel. It's Gary Bando Sandwich, one word. And check out his time-lapse review of the Liverpool Anime and Gaming Con, guys. Certainly very interesting and fun to see. Retro Nerd Girl says, good luck to your daughter, Russ.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll report back after the show, which is in a month's time, and let you guys know.
Yes, and Retro Nerd Girl also says that American Werewolf in London is my favorite horror flick of all time. Wow. Retro Nerd Girl. Millennium is my favorite space or time travel movie of all time. Retro Nerd Girl. We are certainly on the same page here and enjoying it. You know something, Russ and guys, here is Tom Jr. Jackson's YouTube channel, so do subscribe to it. Another thing that I keep thinking about is how beautiful and elegant and sophisticated and charming Mon Mothma is.
I thought you were talking about me. I'm devastated. But yes, no, she is. Yeah, absolutely. I was waiting for the punchline and it just wasn't delivered.
Well, I have to say that she is remarkable looking. What they've done with this actress who plays Mon Mothma is that she certainly has created a certain, I'm not even quite sure, tone. She's angelic. She's sexy. Someone had described her, I think it was Stubble McShave. Someone described her as being like Grace Kelly-esque in her.
Whoever said that nailed it. I hadn't thought that. But yes, she's got that coolness about her.
Yes, she has that coolness. This is not the best picture. Can I actually do this? I'm trying to bring it up. I have not had the best luck bringing up stuff on on this computer, but I'm daring to do it. I don't know if it's going to work, but let's see. Is this one? Yes, it's this one. So let's pray that and please don't judge me on the jewelry part there that you see. I did just want to mention it. Is it on the screen? I can't see, Russ.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
Okay. I did just want to mention how elegant and sophisticated she is, how beautiful she is. And Russ, you already mentioned how in the story she's befriending this man, who it's very important. He's with the banks. You're up to
Mhm.
this part, Russ? Is this the part you were up to?
Yep, yep, yep. She made a deal with the banker is like an old school friend of hers, and they have this weird conversation where he's basically sort of trying to tell her that, look, don't talk to me about politics. I'm not sure we're going to agree with each other, believing she's of course part of the Senate and the Empire, and so on and so on. And it becomes apparent through twisty turny dialogue that they're both actually on the same side, and she's calling in or asking him for a favor. And then she finishes it off as I said, well, you might find my politics a little bit more extreme, so don't ask. Mirroring what he said to her. um you see, this is the thing, isn't it? It's well written, it's well acted, and it's an engaging story. And there is all sorts of subtext in this story, I am sure, and you can take it or leave it. And that's kind of the point. You can sit down and watch it for what it is, or you can look at the deeper commentary that they might be making about politics or the state of the world and what empires do and how exploitative they can be and how people are part of the cogs of the machine, all of that. Or it's a great spy story. It's just so good. It's like water to a thirsty man, you know.
It is, and to be honest with you, everyone, I am so impressed with how incredibly she's sort of this smoldering, sexy leader. She's incredible. She knows what she has to do. And this article kind of talks about how she might be thinking of severing ties with Luthen, possibly. Although things happened, it may not have been the way she wanted or anticipated. I'm not quite sure what she was thinking. This man who she is with, who I'm trying to get a picture of up here, but is not, oh, it's not doing it, but that's okay. He is someone who she grew up with, as you mentioned, Russ, and
Hmm.
they've known each other for a long time. He's a banker, and that's exactly what she needs right now. She needs someone who has access to banks, access to cash, and she needs it quickly. There is no time to spare. I don't think any of them saw things turning around so quickly and so fast. But I do want to mention that she really has reshaped and redefined the Mon Mothma figure for me, Russ. I
Mm.
never knew what she was like, but she's incredibly elegant. She's sophisticated, and she can't become a leader overnight. Things have to happen. She feels very much on her own, Russ. And I don't know in regards to what other senators might have her back, but maybe this friend of hers, whose picture I can't seem to bring up, maybe this friend of hers, who is an incredibly attractive man. He was in The Crown. He played, I think it was the guy who was in love with Margaret Rose, one of the lieutenants in that story. But when we see her with this man who she trusts, I
Mm.
have a feeling that she's at a point of desperation. It doesn't seem like it, but she certainly is in a bad way. Things are not ideal that she has to ask him at this dinner party, which I wish I were invited to, Russ.
It
I
looked
wish I
it
were in
looked
that.
fun, didn't it?
Yeah, I really wish we were all at that dinner party. Mikey Leo says it's all down to the producers, Tony Gilroy and his brothers just doing Star Wars right. I agree with you, Mikey Lito. I'm sorry I couldn't bring up more about it. Mikey Lito's channel is here, guys, so check that out.
Sure. I
But
mean, just to comment further on what Mikey's saying now. We've said this on this channel before, and it's always been for me one of the great tragedies of Star Wars, if you like, that George Lucas himself even continued going after the kids market and made sort of family friendly fare, even with the Return of the Jedi with the Ewoks, and then you had the prequels, which were all universal certificates. And I never understood why they did this, because the kids that grew up in the 70s and 80s watching Star Wars had grown up by then. They were all adults, and it was never targeted at adults. And this seems to be the very first show that is legit for grown-ups. I mean, kids can watch it, but they probably won't, yeah, see what's really going on. It's just a space adventure to them. But it seems like a grown-up show made by grown-ups for grown-ups with shades of grey. In this instance, with Mon Mothma and Luthen, um, Luthen says to her, "Every credit counts." She's annoyed with him for organizing this robbery because she knows that the Imperials will react. only to find out that that's exactly what they want. They want the boot to come down because they know when the fist, what is it, Princess Leia said, tighten, the more you tighten your fist, the more systems will slip through your fingers. Well, that's the beginning. We're seeing the beginning of it now, aren't we? Like literally, the Imperial response is harsh. The ISB are coming down. Anybody steps out of line, we're going to ban this. We're going to do that. We're going to quadruple their taxes, and which is what Luthen wants. But she's much more of a liberal character and really wants to try and help people, as she says in this speech to the banker. They both want the same thing, but they have different ways of going about it. And don't forget, this is not yet the Rebel Alliance of Princess Leia with X-wings and uniforms. This is the, as I think Rob said, Rob My Bennett said, it's like the French Resistance. It's not particularly organized. There are different cells doing different things all over the galaxy. And the ISB, Deirdre, is now starting to try and find the pattern to see where all this is coming from. Of course, it's probably going to lead her straight to Mon Mothma.
Yeah, it probably will. And Retro Nerd Girl, thank you for you concur with me. Yay. Deidre now has access to Cyril's section. I see a team up of the two as well. Tom Jr. Jackson says, I like the show, but there's an uneasiness that brings an intensity to the show. We know where this character ends up. It is how he gets there that really perks my interest. Mario says, Andor is great. It's sad that people's taste is going low and happy with bad shows. And Darth Plato says, give the Empire a break. The Empire gave us the Autobahn. Jerry Minosa says, wait until Palpatine's going to get hold of her. And this is another anticipated confrontation. Mm-hmm. Of course, on the screen, I have a picture of Mon Mothma with her childhood friend, who's a banker. And from the way that they are acting with one another, guys, as far as I'm concerned, these two have had an intimate relationship. She would trust him with her life, and that's exactly what she's doing right now. She's trusting him with very critical information that could get her killed, right, Russ?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was very interesting that the final thing she says to him is the husband's coming, and she says, no, my husband's coming. Be careful. He can't be trusted. This is her husband she's talking about. So this is how committed she is to the rebellion. And you may be right. There is a hint that these guys may have once been more than simple friends. But we don't know. We just don't know.
We don't know. But Russ, honestly, I wouldn't trust something like that to just any man, Russ. And I'm sure for many of us, you make a good point. We don't know, Russ. We don't know. But if it were me, I couldn't trust this to any man. It would have to be someone that I had an intimate relationship with. She's telling him something that he doesn't seem surprised by. He's sitting there and he's listening, and he's almost like looking behind his back to see if anybody else is hearing what they're saying, but they are so smooth, so slick. They could be talking about, anything and still smile. I think she actually hints at him, but Russ, I'm not going to say much more about that other than Jerry Minosa makes a point about Palpatine getting hold of her. I have a feeling that there will be some sort of confrontation or some sort of I don't even have to say it. Palpatine will show up. Palpatine will be in this season. Maybe will we hear Palpatine say something? This is something that is terrifying to me. Mikey Lito says Cyril will make a great Imperial officer when it happens. He's ruthless. And it is something to think about. Honestly, Russ, I am terrified about the idea of her even having to speak to Palpatine, but he's not the Palpatine from Return of the Jedi. He's just now had that whole thing going on with the fight, and he's taken power, and they're trying to, control more of the galaxy now, trying to do all that stuff. The Senate has not been dissolved, or whatever you call it, right, Russ?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Senate has
not. And also don't forget, we're just literally just after when Padme says this is how liberty dies, not with it dies with thunderous applause. Like everyone thinks Palpatine's a great guy at this point. He's taken control. He's stabilized the Republic and turned it into an empire, much as happened with the Romans. In fact, he's a good guy as far as everybody's concerned. We know he's a Dark Lord of the Sith, but nobody else knows that. As far as they're concerned, he was attacked and betrayed by the Jedi and was lucky to be saved by Darth Vader.
Absolutely. And before I just shut this article down, it does say that at least they're indicating that she plans to have him help her fund. Because I think that, to be honest with you guys, as much as I enjoyed seeing them do the heist, I don't think it's something they can kind of do every week, is it, Russ? They're not going to be able to get funds like that. We already know Mon Mothma has been working her magic another way to get funds for other things. You know, she's talking about shipping lanes and people not getting food. She's been doing that. It's been harder. Now she has to go to the source and say, hey, I can't even write a check.
Yeah.
I need your help. I
Yeah.
can't even write a check with somebody telling me, you know, well, what's the check for? Well, it's, you know, for $29.99 to pick up such and such. Well, we don't think you should do that. Make sure everything goes. I could see a situation where they are asking her to get approval for everything, and it starts to become very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Um,
it's quite a I was thinking as you were talking that it's quite a nihilistic show in a way that there is like resentment between everybody on all fronts. It's not like Luthen and Mon Mothma are big pals. Like they share a common cause, but they have different way. And you could see in that when they had the conversation in the antique store, like she's like, you know, no one is at more risk than me, and you doing this is going to make things worse. And she's trying to do it semi legit, if you like, and you know, and he doesn't like her clearly. Like they've kind of fallen out. You could see it because, of course, these are brilliant actors, and you can see it in their eyes when they're talking to each other that they are not agreeing, and they're doing that thing. Oh, we better smile. And then she turns around to the bank and she said, "Look, even my driver is now an ISB plant, right? We are being watched here." And then you've got the when they did the heist, you had the rebel team, and they didn't want Andor on the team because of this and because of that. And then you've got Cyril, it's just so good. It's just so good. I can't say enough good things about this show.
So the last thing I'm going to say is that she makes a point of telling him that there are only 3 people who know about what's going on. And of course, we know one of those persons is Luthen. Everybody is speculating that the third person might be Bail Organa, who has
Hmm.
been a kind of resisting all this craziness from the very beginning. We know that because he's been certainly an incredible figure throughout the entire operation. So it is very interesting to see this. What do we have here?
Do you think they'll bring Jimmy Smits back in for that role? Because as brilliant as he is, um, I thought when I watched Obi-Wan, he's knocking on a little bit, and of course, you know, we're all going to get there. But it seemed like he was much too old physically in the show for where he should have been, because it's only like what 7 8 years after the events when he was like in his 40s, and now all of a sudden he's, you know, 80 odd. I wonder if they'll recast. I don't know, but yeah, I suspect. Do you know what? This is Andor. It could be someone it could be a legacy character from Star Wars that we haven't really thought about, because there's Forrest Whitaker. Um, what's his character in Rogue One? It could be him.
Saw Gerrera.
Saw Gerrera. Yeah.
And of course, Darth Plater, you did mention this during Rob's show as well about the meetup between Cyril and Deidre. Certainly something that's exciting. I just can't get over how exciting all of this is. And I think that when you have a show where even we know the outcome, but it's done right, where we get to learn about these characters, certainly, certainly it's something that becomes enjoyable. And I do want to say good morning to Keely Chow.
Hey, Keely, how are you?
Hope you are
Hey,
well.
there's a question here that I don't want to miss, because
Yes,
it's
where is it?
Mikey says, for our hosts, what do you think of Cassian? Is he naive, or is he just aimless and insular? For me, I think he's aimless and insular. I think he's a horrible, horrible man. That he's a grifter, he's a con man, he's a liar, he's a cheat. You know, like Bix literally says all of this to him. You know, like you turn up, you borrow money, you disappear, you lie, and all that kind of thing. And then he has the sort of moral high ground because he's had a big score, and he ditches the money. You know, there's 12,000 credits that will cover everything, and then off he goes to Miami to party. And I can kind of see him blowing all his money. So yeah, I think he's naive. No, I don't think he's naive. I just think he's aimless and insular, and you know, cares only about himself. He's kind of like the grown-up version of Han Solo, if you like. You know, when Luke says to him, take care of yourself, Han. I guess that's what you're best at, isn't it? He only cares about one person, me. But this is like a grown-up story, and this guy, like I said from when we watched the first 3 episodes, he's a horrible, horrible man, and they've done a brilliant job of getting you, if not on his side, but certainly invested in his story. And that's kind of the point. You're not on anyone's side in this, are you? You're just invested in the story, and you want to find out what happens to each of these characters in a very sort of anti-save the cat way. Like, there's no heroes here. They're all just people doing their thing. Kind of Game of Thronesy in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I do want to thank Latrone Latham for pointing out one of the scenes of Rome that coincide or was similar to some of the scenes in Andor. Latrone, thank you. He's not here, but Latrone, I am mentioning it because I know you took all that time and effort to type it out. And so this is something we were talking about last week. And hello to Rogue Thinker.
Hey, Rogue.
And as well, good morning to Happy Traveling. Happy Traveling. Hello.
Hello. I don't think I've seen Happy Traveling before, but so if I haven't, if I have, I apologize, but welcome. Nice to see you.
Absolutely. I did. And also want to say hello to Jacob Ironside, who says hello, and Russ.
I love your icon, Jacob.
And Woodrow is here. Hello, Woodrow, who says that there's a picture of Palps in every post office smiling.
Pointing. And Fire needs you.
And of course, Bloodsport 1 is here.
There he is. Hey, man.
And I did want to mention the answer. Now I see it, Russ. I think that what's happened to, first of all, someone asked, what is Andor? Andor is a person. His name is Cassian Andor, and the series talks about him because he had such an interesting role in the development, or let's say in many of the key events in helping the Rebel Alliance beat the Empire. So he's played by Diego Luna, for those of you who are unaware. And the show is a show that's being broadcast on Disney Plus, to answer the question. Now, I did want to mention, Mikey Lito, that I've thought about Cassian quite a lot, trying to figure him out. And I think that he's gotten by. Sometimes there are people in life who just get by. He got by when that woman picked him up and rescued him. But even after she rescued him, he still ended up, unfortunately, in prison for a little while. And even with all his careful preparation and searching for his sister, sometimes he ends up randomly killing people. And this is just something, it's part of the job. He is potentially a very dangerous man. We also saw him shoot someone. As someone said, Cassian shot first. He actually would make a very good military special forces officer, because if he comes into a confrontation, he's going to walk out of that confrontation and his opponent will not. I think that we have seen a lot of shows that haven't shown violence and the reality of what it means to have a confrontation or to be somebody in a situation like this. If it has to be a choice between you and the opponent, it should always be your life first.
Well, he doesn't hesitate, does he? This is the thing. Like, he shot that Corpo guy straight in the face. Like, he just realized that, there's no way out of this for me. They're going to talk. I don't care what this bloke is saying. He accidentally killed the one in the fracas and realized that this guy's going to promise he's not going to turn me in, but he will turn me in. So he just shoots him dead. And he did the same thing with the I forget the guy's name. One of the rebels. He said, let's just take the money and split. And he shot him. He didn't even hesitate. Boom.
He definitely had to off that rebel. And the reason why is because he talks way too much. He's more than happy going through his shit and sharing all his detailed information, how tall he is, what he can do, his abilities, where he's from, what he looks like. And Andor realized that he can't have this guy hanging around. It's a very similar situation we saw to Christian Cole when he was confronted by the guy at the wedding, who came up to him very boldly and said, hey, look, I know your secret, but we got this, bro. I won't tell anybody if you don't. That guy is going to jabber jaws the secret all over the place. And Christian Cole was like, hell no, you're not telling everybody our secret. That's not happening. And so he made sure that man never spoke again. And I think that that type of attitude is what we might be dealing with here. Someone who knows that just because somebody says that doesn't mean that's how the outcome's going to be. You have to take action and make sure that a certain chain of events doesn't start. That would have ruined Kristen Cole's career, I think, in the court. And you certainly don't want, Andor certainly doesn't want another person knowing all his secrets, but he's a desperate man. And you're right. He went to paradise. He went to the beautiful, wherever it is, you know, spending money with this hot chick, having a great time. But even he couldn't keep out of trouble. There's something inherent about him, he has kind of like this nervous energy where he needs to be in the thick of things, but he has to be in the thick of things. He has to go to this prison because he needs to meet the next group of people that helps him get that knowledge. We saw Bill Burr's character in The Mandalorian, who was pivotal in them doing their operation because Bill Burr worked for the Empire. He knew their procedures. He knew how to get information out of the console. He knew who would be inside of the room. He knew how to fly certain ships. This is the stuff that Andor needs to pick up, more information, and he's going to get that in that prison. He's going to run into some people who are going to be helpful to him, and consequently the rebellion. So he needs more information now. He's maxed out. He's played all his cards. All the money in the world can't get him what he wants. Is he still looking for his sister? Probably. But to be honest with you, he is not a happy man. He's restless. He feels he put himself in a difficult position. He's always looking over his shoulder. I mean, he was doing that before, but now he's really nervous. And that nervousness, Russ, is what got him caught last week. He couldn't help himself. He was careless. So I think, honestly, he's not naive. He is aimless. Right now, he doesn't know what to do with his life. And someone has made the decision for him. But he likes a challenge. This man loves this. He doesn't want to go to prison. But as far as he's concerned, this is just another challenge for him. Do we really think he's going to be in that prison long?
No, probably not. But one thing I wanted to pick up on that you were talking about earlier about him and Kristen Cole and all that sort of thing. See, at no point all this stuff that you were talking about is inferred. It's completely inferred. At no point does Kristen turn around to the Queen and go, "Well, I had to kill that man because he knew about us," and so on. It's not. You know this just by what is not being said. That is good writing. It's all inferred. It's all implied. We know what's going on. But at no stage, like in the Mon Mothma scene, at no stage, look, you know, I'm part of the rebellion and we need the money, man. Can you help us out? No, it's all hinted and round the houses. And we are gathering all of this character information and the way people are and what they do because their actions are consistent. It's a masterclass in showing, not telling. You
Absolutely.
know, and talking of Bail Organa, you've got the converse example of Obi-Wan where he turns around and goes, you know, one of us has to die. You know, either he walks away from this or I do. You know, it's going to be that. And then literally 5 minutes later says, "I'm not going to kill you," even though Darth Vader says, "Anakin Skywalker's dead. You should kill me." No, I'm not going to do that. It's like this is the polar opposite. It's leagues and leagues and leagues away from that. And I think, we have a spam bot, Tinder Hot XYZ adult dating site.
Yes, this is how you know you've made it, guys. This is how you know you've made it.
There you go. On the big time now. Save that address. I might need it.
There were some interesting comments that Darth Plato said that, you know, Jimmy Smith's character, Bail Organa, is not discreet. And that's certainly not how Mon Mothma likes to operate, and says, will there be a plot twist? I know you already read this and I'm sorry. Will there be a plot twist with Andor's sister? The sister might be working in the Empire. I thought she was Luthen's shop
assistant.
girl.
Yeah, possibly. Well, again, who knows? Like Mars says to him, you know, stop looking for your sister. You know, it's going to lead you nowhere. No one got out of there alive. You're the only survivor. Forget about it. Oh God, that scene was so good.
Jin Korea is here. Hello, Jin Korea. Thank you for your generosity to the channel. One of so many people who have been so generous to Positive Fandom, Jin Korea. Such a pleasure to see you here this morning. And Jerry Mendoza says, yes, hey, Tinder hot. Absolutely, Jerry. This is not just a Sunday brunch. It's a hot Sunday brunch. So
Sure is.
certainly something that's fun to see. Go ahead, Russ. I'm sorry to have interrupted you.
No, no, not at all. I was just, I'm just sort of fanboying over the performances in Andor. That scene where he goes back to his stepmom and sort of basically says, "Oh, we're out of here," and she's like, no, because wherever I go, I'm still going to be me. You need to get out of here. Yes, but she's like old and tired and wants to stay where she is. What's the point? And you can see the disappointment in his whole demeanor. It's not just his face. The way he carries himself. He just leaves like knowing that there's a fight he can't win, but he doesn't force the issue, because ultimately the way that she's brought him up and the way that he's made, the only person that Andor really loves is Andor, and he knows he has to go, and go he does.
And I think I should mention this, guys. Andor is a hottie. So, from my female gaze, when I see him, I'm like, wow, he's kind of cute. And, unfortunately, he is a bad guy with cash. He's going to attract a lot of women, single or married. The doors will be open for him, certainly. But I don't think the one woman I'm pretty sure he won't be able to charm is Mon Mothma, guys.
What is it George Best said? I spent I spent most of my fortune on fast cars, fast women, and alcohol, and the rest I just wasted. That's kind of a leaf out of Andor's book, I think.
It certainly is a leaf out of Andor's book, and perhaps his level of maturity at this point in his life. He's actually a little angry. We've seen he has a little bit of a temper, and he's upset about where he is in his life right now. He's not happy that the situation is happening to him. I don't think he would have chosen this assignment if given a choice. I don't think he wanted to be here, but this is where fate has brought him, and he's not necessarily happy about being known for this. Mikey
Mm.
Lito says the structure of the story requires thinking, not just watching, which is why Andor isn't as popular as it should be. A lot of fans just want to plop down on the couch and be entertained. Well, we will talk about that in the next section of this show.
Whoa! Go down to the bottom there. You've got a tip.
Oh my God, Jen Korea, thank you so much. Thank you. You are so generous. I so appreciate it for the $20 tip, Jen Korea. We were just saying hello to you. I so appreciate your generosity. It is so welcome. Thank you so much. And now Jin Korea actually made a comment, and his comment is that Star Wars is dead and Andor can't save it. Oh no, Jin Korea. Oh no.
Jin might have a point here. Now, it was funny. As I was making lunch this afternoon, I put Mr. H reviews. I like Mr. H. He's quite a funny guy, and he was talking about this very thing. I think it was, again, in Culture Casino, brought up the stats, and Jin. I think you're right. I think the brand is now being so badly damaged that people, what would have been a must-see thing because it had the name Star Wars stuck on it, is now no longer the case. People have been burned and burned and burned. I mean, I really think that the knife that finished off Star Wars was Obi-Wan. I just think everyone was hoping that was going to be the Andor that we now have, and it was just awful. But thanks for the tip, Jin. RM works very hard, as you know. She's always streaming, always entertaining you guys. It's so lovely to see her supported in such a way. So thank you so much.
I do appreciate it, Jen, and you have always stuck by me, especially on some of the other channels. I do appreciate it. You've been generous in the past, and this is very generous. I so appreciate it. That is something to think about, Jen and Russ, about the idea of doing damage to an intellectual property when the property has done nothing to do damage to you. This should have been something that they gained a lot of power in the sense of attracting not just the fans who are already there, but getting other fans, considering the reach that Disney has, that Star Wars has, there should have been much more involvement, and it could have gone very differently. I think that, if they wanted to gain new
Well,
fans,
you've lost the goodwill, haven't you? Because
yes.
someone pointed out earlier on that you have. I think it was Mikey said it's not just sit down on the couch with your and watch it. You've got to think about this show. But I think having been kicked so many times by Star Wars, having to sit through such garbage, why would you? Why would you invest the time? Like, I kind of guess it's kind of sort of like our side hustle. We have to watch these things. But having said that, a lot of people have said, "Oh, it's really slow," and it's really. I was hooked, man. Like, I was in it. It grabbed me and didn't let me go. And as I said, I almost missed the show. I was so engrossed in it just now. But I'm not sure everybody feels that way about Star Wars anymore. But hey, we are an hour into the show and we have not touched on the topic du jour. So should we catch up on the comments and then talk a little bit of Black Adam?
Absolutely. And thanks again, Jen. You're so kind. I so appreciate it. Mikey Lito mentions that it was a must see for him because it had Rogue One stamped on it. So, guys, as you know,
The
Rogue
best of
One,
the Star Wars Disney era, isn't it? Rogue One.
and it was a movie that I enjoyed. I thought they did a great job in connecting the two. It feels connected. It feels like it's part of the same universe for sure. And Jin Korea says, morning and much love to y'all. Much love to you too. I think that Rogue Thinker also mentions, was Rogue One even that good? It was okay. I enjoyed it. But I didn't like or care about casting in Andor. So had no interest in the show. And a lot of people feel that way, Rogue Thinker, when Andor was
But
introduced.
do you remember all of the YouTubers talking about this before? It's like, oh, what I kind of did. I'm like, yeah, he was like a cool character, but we know where it's going to end up, and it's kind of shit. It's like a prequel. Who really cares about Andor? And yet, you could be right. Maybe a lot of people were put off by a sort of non-event character that we know is going to die, and yet it's the best Star Wars I've seen in years.
It's something to think about. And here's some more comments. Darth Plato says, incompetent writing is one thing, but the real problem is the sequels. So long as the sequels is the plotted course, then nothing or anything else can save Star Wars, Obi-Wan or no Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
And I have to agree that there were too many errors. It's the errors in the sequels, I think, more than anything else, that make it really poor and a
the
poor.
writing is on the wall, though, isn't it? I hate the sequels, obviously, but I love how that they're kind of sticking it to us, telling it, look, it is going to end up here, and they're doing it through the medium of blue milk. Like, there is always, when anyone's having breakfast or whatever, like Cyril was with his mum having breakfast before his job interview, and there he was with the blue milk, and it's like it's such a sly way of saying to us, look, there isn't going to be a reboot. It is going to be Jake Skywalker and the blue milk. Follow the money, follow the blue milk, because all roads lead to Jake Skywalker. That's sad, but that's where we're at. I just don't think, as much as we might want it as fans, I think it's Robin my Burdett says that hardcore fans or even casual fans make up about 20% of the audience, and no studio is going to climb down and delete a series of 3 movies just because some neckbeards like me are pissed off about it. I think the closest we've got to that is WB or Warner Media, as it was now Warner Brothers Discovery, kind of excising Justice League, and sort of Batgirl, getting rid of Batgirl, changing all of these things. That's the closest you're going to get. But we'll talk about the WB in a minute. I guess let's try and get through these comments. And
Yes, and Mikey Lito says that Rogue One made Star Wars accessible for him. So that is interesting. Tom Jr. Jackson also, thank you, Tom, for doing this. Reminder that on Monday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be hosting Ladies of the PGS on the Post Geek Singularity for an hour of great discussion and more with Lorraine Creel. So do check in for that. That's tomorrow at 6 p.m. Joey Johnson is here. Says says, good morning from Pennsylvania. And Russ, it's getting colder. It is, Joey, it's too cold. But the coffee is keeping him warm. And we are going to, in just a moment, Jim Correa says, you can't have Star Wars and no Jedi or Sith. Just my opinion. That is very interesting.
Well,
And Jim, a
it's
lot
true
of
that
people
they're
have,
there. They're there, aren't they, Jin? They are
yeah,
there, but this
a
is
lot of,
not concerned with them. And the Jedi have been vanquished, haven't they? At this point, it suddenly occurs to me that this isn't Mandalorian era. This is not like the Jedi have been killed, apart from a couple. Like Order 66 has happened. They were the people that were trying to betray the Senate and take over, according to the general public, and they've been excised. But yes, they're out there. Sorry, Ara, I cut you off in
no,
my
no, it's
Andor
okay.
enthusiasm.
Well, I think Jin makes a good point here before I play my banner, my song, my
Hmm.
Fandom thing, is that I think we should see a Sith presence. This is the one time where we could see them in power now. I think we should be seeing more Sith than ever before, more dark
Do
side
you
users
think? I
because
don't know, or I don't know if they're gonna go there with this. This seems very Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, that kind of. I mean, like, nothing happens in this effing show. Like, there's been one action sequence, where they go and rob a bank. The rest of it is people coming out with great lines like, I need you to look at all of these shipping lanes and find me all the stuff that was stolen. Well, which star system? All of them.
all of them,
Okay. Yeah. It's people
all
in
of
offices. Like this is like people walking around in offices or
them.
people walking around in factories. That's Andor.
Yes,
Yeah.
someone
But
else could fill that seat.
yeah, 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 exactly, exactly. It's just people doing it's people at work. But how they made it so engaging, I don't know, man. As you can tell, I'm a little bit hyped. I'm a little bit because I haven't finished the episode yet, so I haven't seen Andor yet go to prison, but I'm sure I know now he ends up in prison.
I'm sorry. I'm
No, well, hey,
sorry.
you've literally written down the bottom there. Spoilers for Black Adam and Andor season one. So,
And
um,
Darth Plato says you don't need to delete anything, just do a different future. And I agree, maybe we could see something different. Jerry Minosa says, and he's a Jedi. I think maybe everybody thinks Luthen might be one because who else is going to be walking around with kyber crystals and have holocrons, Sith and Jedi on their shelf, and they keep zooming in onto it, Russ. And I just want to grab that holocron off the shelf and take it, but I can't.
well, he might be a force sensitive because they had in Rogue One, didn't they? Donnie Yen's character wasn't a Jedi, but could, it was kind of like a monk, but he could use the force, but certainly wasn't out of the temple on Coruscant because. Sorry, there's like a huge bang outside my window.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, what that is. Anyway,
Is everything okay?
don't know. I'll have to, when you roll the credits, I will have a look out the window and see what's happened.
Okay, I'm gonna roll them now, Russ.
Okay.
All right, I'm back. Russ is checking out something, and I just took him out of the stream just for a second just to make sure he is back here. We're going to get him back.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't know what it was. Like everything, there's no Soviet invasion going on or anything like that. So I don't know what it was. It was like a big like that. So who knows?
Well, in my neighborhood, it would be fireworks because they love fireworks out here. Like I've never lived in a place. I grew up not too far from here, but I've never seen so many fireworks in my life. And thank you, Joey Johnson. That intro is from CJ. CJ made that synthwave kind of Flashdance inspired intro for me for Positive Fandom. And I love it, CJ. And I appreciate that. And of course, Russ, it's time to switch over to the next topic that has everybody talking about. And of course, it is Black Adam, Russ. I saw Black Adam on Thursday. Russ, have you seen Black Adam?
Saw it yesterday.
Yes, and many of you, I know Mikey Lito has seen Black Adam because he did a review straight out of the theater. And ironically, when he did his review, we saw it on the same day I was in the theater with my mom. And I told him, I said, I'm going to come back and comment on your channel about what I thought about Black Adam. And Russ, certainly, if you had told me 4 or 5 months ago, we knew Black Adam was coming out for a long time now. If you had told me that I would be seeing Black Adam this past Thursday, I would have said, no, I'm not going to see it. But Russ, so many things had happened from then to now. And honestly, Russ, I have to say that the one thing that swayed me into seeing Black Adam was the fact that I knew that we were going to get a cameo of someone at the end. But even before that, Russ, I have to wonder, oh, anybody who hasn't seen Black Adam, we are going to do spoilers. So just keep in mind, we're going to be doing spoilers in this review. It says spoilers down there for Black Adam. This is a spoiler review. So if you have not seen Black Adam and you don't want to know what's going on in Black Adam, I suggest that you press the mute button or enjoy the rest of your afternoon if you don't want to be spoiled about what happens. But Russ, the marketing for Black Adam, in my opinion, over the past few months when I've been going to the theater, sitting there in the seats, excited to get ready to see the feature, honestly, Russ, the marketing was so poor. I'm surprised anybody showed up or got excited about it.
Well, they haven't got any money, have they? These films cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make, and they are being ruthless with their cost cutting, and they're writing things off. Anything that they don't deem that's going to be profitable or good for the brand. And this is what Zaslav seems to have realized about DC specifically, that Disney is now getting the kickback of with Star Wars and Marvel. The brand is damaged, and Zaslav has looked at Batgirl and was like, that's a pile of shit. We cannot do this because, all right, we spent all this money on it, but it's terrible. We cannot have our brand damaged in such a way. So this then leads on to Black Adam. What's your mark out of 10 for Black Adam? Because somebody on the chat gave it the same score as me and had the same thoughts as me about it. But what do you think, first of all?
Well, I gave Black Adam a score of a 7 out of 10. And I should mention that I enjoyed the film immensely. And there is a reason why I gave it a 7 out of 10. It certainly wasn't in the caliber of No Way Home, which I would give maybe a 9.5 or a 9.7 out of 10, or even the Battison Batman, which I would say I gave an 8 out of 10. So it certainly wasn't on that level. However, it did something that I haven't seen in quite some time, everybody. The first thing that it did was that it excluded all the things that none of us wanted to see. For example, I didn't want to see any politics in a movie ever again. And Black Adam doesn't have too much. They have one little blurb, as you mentioned, Russ, but for the most part, we weren't being told about any kind of message constantly and reminded about what needs to be corrected and rights and wrongs and stuff like that. We didn't have that. That was gone. Second thing was that we didn't see men sort of demasculated. Is that a word?
Emasculated, I think is the word.
Yes. Demasculated, which is something that really confused me because, to be honest with you, as Rogue Sinker says, it will be nice to watch an action movie that doesn't hate me.
Then watch Accident Man 1 and 2. They don't hate you. They love you. Scott Adkins, go see all of his films. He is a legend. You will love it, love it, love it. I promise you. Action like you've never seen. Martial artistry like you've never seen. The guy is a genius, and he is here to entertain us. But please don't pirate it. Please buy the movie or rent it or whatever it is you do. And you'll love it, Rogue. I promise you. If you don't, I will PayPal you the cost of entry if you do not enjoy Accident Man. I'm telling you, it's brilliant.
Well, that is a resounding support for Scott Adkins, who just released Accident Man Part 2. He is an incredible actor, an incredible martial artist, certainly exudes masculinity, and something that we've been dying to see this in the films. We didn't get it. really very much of it in quite a few of the films that we've been seeing this year. But honestly, if you want bone crushing, skull, skulls smashed, blood, all sorts of incredible fight scenes. If you want to see muscular men doing muscular men things, if you want to see superheroes killing people, if you want to see the aggression that we are expecting from a character like Black Adam, who is a villain, if you want to see all of that stuff, some legitimate fighting, then this is where you need to go to see Black Adam. Guys, this film would have made a bunch of money if it was released in the summer. It is a summer blockbuster movie. This is what this film is. It's a summer movie. You go in with your popcorn and your beverage, and you sit there, and it's a fun time. So you get finally these fight scenes that we've been craving, these intense matchups. And while it's true that let's say the big baddie at the end was kind of poor, it didn't matter because Dwayne Johnson and his body acting in this film, Russ, him just standing there, Dwayne Johnson has never been, this is the best shape he's ever been in his entire life. He doesn't need padding in that suit, Russ.
He does
no
not.
padding whatsoever. The suit fit him like a glove. There were some scenes where they just zoomed in and you could kind of like see this extra muscle that he has going.
Yeah, on his neck. Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my God, this man is so diesel. Certainly a lot of eye candy. And I've been watching The Russ since day one, since his wrestling days. Did I say, yeah, The Rock? I'm not you, Russ. I've been watching The Rock since
my storied wrestling
one.
career back in the 80s. Yeah.
Since day one. Honestly, guys, I have to tell you, I am so impressed with seeing something that they just want to entertain you and give you what you are craving. This is what we want to see in a film like this. It is not a perfect film. The writing is not perfect. Some of the younger characters are not that important. Just to be honest with you, it didn't even matter whether they were there or not. I really like that actress who plays that character, but if she were there or not, it wouldn't have made a difference to me. She looked beautiful, but it doesn't matter. We didn't really need her there, and we also didn't need the other character.
Atom Smasher.
Yeah, we didn't really need him either. They had to bust their super cherry, superhero cherry. That's how they had to come in that way. That's fine. But we didn't really need them, guys. And yes, thank you. Thank you for another super donation, guys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, here it is. Thank you so much. Gemini D just tipped $3.61. Thank you so much for your generosity. And the message says, I have to go back here. Personally, why I find Andor not engaging is there is no fun with these characters. The Longest Day was a serious World War II movie, but they had characters having a sense of humor, even in darkest times. That's what made it entertaining. You need to have fun with your characters. Well, that is a good point. Yeah, that is a really good point, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Maybe I could copy this and put this in here.
Yeah, Jamin, no one's having fun in Andor, apart from Andor himself with his hot chick on Miami Planet. But no, there's little joy to be had in Andor, and I like that. I do. I like that. I like the fact that this is not playing into the Star Wars-ishness of other shows and other films. This is, everyone in this show is horrible. Everybody. They're just people doing their utmost to get ahead in their lives, and none of them particularly nice. It's not a fun show. It's not, you're not there to be to yuck along with the funny one-liners. But I can kind of see what you're getting at. The Longest Day, that's an old movie. Sean Connery was in that, wasn't he? Before he was famous. But yeah, it literally not the droids you're looking for. If you're looking for a laugh, light, happy adventure in the Spider-Man vein, or the Han Solo. That was a fun film, and I think Solo was much maligned at its time. And I watched it about a year ago, and I thought, I don't know why people hate this so much. I mean, it's kind of pointless, but not offensive. It was good. You know, I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think The Longest Day was about the D-Day invasion, right, Russ?
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
And so the D-Day invasion was one of the actions in World War II. I think there was Omaha Beach. I can't remember the French name for the beach, but there it was on many fronts. A
Hmm.
lot of very important things happened during that invasion. Certainly, perhaps a more sophisticated story than Andor. Sorry, but it is perhaps a little more sophisticated. But certainly something to think about. It is dour, and perhaps
Mm.
you do need something to lift spirits. I think maybe the robot is supposed to lift your spirits a little bit, but will Andor have any joy in his life? This is a good question. He's known a lot of sadness. He's gotten some love from the woman who took him in. It is something to think about, having humor in these stories. And, let's see. Thank you, Tom, for mentioning you have the film. It is an impressive cast, and Darth Plato says yes, it is the largest military event in history on so many different fronts, with all the allies involved. Certainly, an incredibly strategic and much more sophisticated. I'm sorry, that's just how I see it. Than Andor, guys. Certainly an impressive film, and thank you, Jim and D, for giving us the 361. It does make a difference. Every little bit helps. I so appreciate your generosity. And thank you for sharing your comment. The Six Scale Cantina is here. Hey, Aries Tarrington, guys, from the Six Scale Cantina. Guys, check out his channel, The Market Show, which shows you, if you are a 1/6 scale collector, what figures are going for, what's coming up, what to be excited about. And this is actually a very excited time because we haven't gotten many figures yet from Andor. And I'm sure Aries will be thinking about what figures they're going to make. Aries, I want them to make a Mon Mothma 1/6 scale figure, and that beautiful white gown that she wore at the party that you saw, Russ. I absolutely have to see her in that. Aries says, my favorite morning show. He said, my favorite morning show, baby. I have to say it like that, baby. Glad I'm catching some of it live. Hope you are well. And Russ, well, we hope you are well, Aries Tarrington. Guys, check out Aries Tarrington's The Market Chart Show. Absolutely fantastic to see you here, Aries. I hope you are having a wonderful morning. Um, and Darth Plato says, I want to see a series about the logistics and supply people try to get ready for D-Day. And Darth Plato, Russ and myself, and another YouTube creator by the name of the Outcast Creatives have done a series on historical films. And we kind of talk about the importance or the resurgence of these historical films, especially about war, everybody, and how we think there's this resurgence of it. So I will be releasing that soon. There's certainly a lot to talk about it. You are not the only one who likes to see films that focus on this. Jin Korea says, over the last few months, it has been a sea of hot garbage. Black Adam is a bright spot, minus some mistakes. And I have to agree with you, Jin Korea. I think that we all acknowledge that it is not a perfect film, but even an imperfect film can be the right film for you if you want certain things in it. Russ, what did you think of Black Adam? What stood out? What are your thoughts? What would you rate it? Tell me what your thoughts are of Black Adam.
Like everybody else, it's quite funny. This score is coming up a lot. When you said 7, I said that was my score. It's a 7 out of 10. What I liked about Black Adam, and well, my one big fear for Black Adam was The Rock himself, because look, let's face it, The Rock is The Rock. He's not a brilliant actor. He always plays The Rock, except in Black Adam. The earnestness of the man's performance, you can see he is carrying the weight of this movie on his admittedly big shoulders, but it's coming out of every pore. He doesn't want people to think, he's not The Rock. He is straining to make you believe that he is this man, this god, and he does it. He pulls it off. At no stage was I, he didn't ever play into his Rock character. Not
And
once.
and and Russ, and even you have to admit, Russ, that this film is all about Black Adam, a film all about the person in the name for a change.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So some commentators have said that he's not in it enough. Um, that yeah, it's interesting. If I'd have made a Black Adam film, I wouldn't have made this one. Okay, but they're in between a bit of a rock a rock and a hard place, in that Black Adam is a baddie, but he's played by Dwayne Johnson, so he has to be shown as a goodie, or at least the hero and the protagonist of the story. Um, the Justice Society. Let's talk about them. Some I think it was Mikey mentioned this earlier on. Um, it's not a very inclusive film in terms of its groundwork. Like, you're expected just to accept that, like, we know who Dr. Fate is, we know who Hawkman is, we know who Atom Smasher is. No one's ever spoken about the Justice Society before. Yet here they are, and they've been a thing for years, and that's just how it is. So it just picks you up and expects you to run with it. And I guess the thinking there was actually, look, we've had superhero movies for 20 years. Like, nobody's going to question the fact that there are superheroes in this universe, and you're just going to have to get to know them as we go along. A lot of people have said that it's Pierce Brosnan carrying this movie. His performance was great. But why the fuck is nobody talking about Hawkman? That guy was badass. He was, for me, my favorite character aside from Black Adam in the thing. I loved him. I loved the fact that he was an asshole to everybody, and he was all about getting the job done and no compromise, and let's do this thing. He was very much the leader of the JSA, and I loved what he did with the character. As everyone said, I think the guy that plays Atom Smasher, my daughter informed me he's a bit of a heartthrob, apparently. Like, all the girls love him, so that's why he was thrown in. And Cyclone was stunning, very, very beautiful girl. Adrian, of course, herself, she was absolutely lovely. And what amazingly, in Black Adam, they had a kid that wasn't too annoying. Like, the kid's sidekick was actually not irritating at all. I learned that Black Adam has been butchered in the edit room because it was rated R for violence. Indeed, there's a scene in the trailer where Black Adam's flying next to two aeroplanes, and two fighter planes, and he smashes them out of the sky, and you don't see that in the film. There is some politics in there, but it's mentioned once. It's a bit of a comment on American intervention in the Middle East and how that hasn't gone so well. But at no stage do they sort of say, "Yeah, America terrible," pull down.
America needs to get out right now.
Yeah, it was none of that. And interestingly, Intergang were all played by Aussies. Like, the whole gang was like Australian. I don't know where they were going with that, but it was an interesting choice. Yeah, it's trying to do such a lot, Black Adam, that it was never going to be a great film. It's a reset of the DC universe. It's not the reset I want. I can see now that the Snyderverse is in the rearview mirror. That it's gone, and it's not coming back. And this film was pretty much a statement of that. It was very, very. A lot of people have said it. I'm not breaking any new ground. It's very Marvel Phase One. It had that Marvel feel to it. That they toned down the violence wasn't a great choice for me, but they know what they're doing here. They know that this film has to be a hit. It has to be a hit, and they are doing everything they can to make it a hit. And that means if we've got to get the kids in, we've got to get the kids in. We've got to get the teeny girls in because we've got Atom Smasher in it. Then that's what we're going to do to do it. You want the old farts like Russ back? Okay, here's Henry Cavill. We're giving you everything that you want here. Please support us.
Absolutely. And I did just want to say, 6 Scale Cantina does say, hey, Mon Mothma from the Andor series, 1 6 scale figure. Yes, he says, I would love to see that. And I have a hunch we're going to see more. There will be some surprises figures from Andor and the Obi-Wan series coming. And do check out 6 Scale Cantina's link here in the chat. And Darth Plato says, can you smell what Black Adam is cooking. Mikey Lito lets us know it's Aldous Hodge as Hawkman, who was incredible and a very, very attractive Black man.
Yeah, he was, but
Which
yeah,
I
I knew you were going to
love.
say that, and I need to bring that up. At no point is the fact that he's black mentioned at all in this film. At
Mhm.
no point does he relate to Black Adam and the struggle of Kandak. Like they just left all of that aside. Like, yeah, okay, he's black, so what? Brilliant. The
He
other
had,
girl, the girl on the team is mixed race. The one guy's white, and it's
yes,
Fonzie's is his uncle, and Hawkman's an old white guy, and sorry, Doctor Fate's an old white guy. That's it. But nobody says anything about that. You know, they've just left all of that shit out, and
they did.
it's so good. It's so refreshing. As oh goodness, so someone
Now,
was saying earlier on, yeah,
I
Rogue was saying it's nice to go and see a film where you're not being told you're a horrible person for.
yes,
Mm,
I agree with that. I mentioned this only because we have a film that's coming up that was known for attractive Black men. And I'm concerned this might be the only one we get
mhm.
in a superhero context when this next film may be somewhat devoid of that presence, at which made it a very popular film to begin with. So this may be it, ladies. Also, we have this very attractive Pierce Brosnan. He is a silver fox.
Mhm.
His gentle voice, his calming voice, I felt was a great contrast to kind of guiding. And I know you said that Aldous was the leader of the group. But I also think the calming voice of Pierce Brosnan kind of toned things down at points when the intensity that The Rock had was just, skyrocketing in the film. It was a nice calming presence in contrast to what was going on, him knowing what would happen in the future. Guys, I have to say that Pierce Brosnan has kept himself looking fantastic. Pure eye candy. Thank you so much for the mature men. I said this on Musings. Thank you, you mature men. I mean, men over the age maybe of 50 and 60 who are keeping themselves looking fantastic. We, meaning ladies and people who like men, notice the effort that was put in to make Pierce Brosnan still look as fantastic as he always does. It certainly was a treat to have him there. And Noah Centineo, who is Adam Smashner, was a cute kid, but he certainly was outpawned or outmatched or outmoved by all the other more experienced men, like a child here
Mm.
almost. Certainly, didn't know what to do or where to go or what to say. And that's okay. It's fine when these characters don't really have that experience. We're not expecting him to know what to do. But I liked the fact, Russ, that we had that testosterone in the air. You could smell it in the theater, Russ. You could smell the testosterone. It certainly was nice to see these superheroes doing things that superheroes do.
Yeah.
I certainly love that. And thank you. We got another chat here, super chat from Jemin Desai, who says, let me just grab the chat from him. And he says he chipped $10. Wow, that is incredibly generous. Thank you so much. I'm just going to put it here in the chat, which I just learned how to do the other day. Thank God. I finally learned how to use this thing properly. He says, first of all, thank you for the $10. You've been so generous to the channel, and I appreciate it. It certainly does make things so much easier for me so I can continue to do the show. Jimin says, I also saw Black Adam, was an overall fun movie. This may be like Jumanji with Rock, where it starts slow and perhaps keeps slowly making money throughout. What do you think, Russ?
I hope so. I'm obviously biased. I'm a huge DC fan, and I want to see them do well, and I want to see them. Yeah, I want to see my heroes. I want to see Cavill. I want to see Affleck. I want to see those guys. Gal Gadot. I want to see them back in good movies once again. So a lot is resting on this, because if this is a flop, then I think we can just kiss all that goodbye. You know, as much as you know, I just think David Zaslav is interested in one thing and one thing only. Yes, he might like these characters, but he can just see the potential of the Trinity and the brand and the billions of dollars it potentially brings to the company. And if this fails, then they'll do something else. Um, and that'll be that. There'll be no Aya cut. There'll be no Joker movie with Jared Leto. There won't be any of that stuff. It's just going to all be kicked into touch, and they'll have to start again. So I hope it succeeds. And that's very much what this movie was. I mean, what is actually Black Adam about? Like, it doesn't seem to have much of a plot, really. It's literally just Dwayne Johnson killing people for 2.5 hours, you know, in all sorts of different ways. Um,
Yeah.
you know, what is it about? Why does that guy? Why does he betray them? Who? What the hell? Oh, he's the guy's descendant now. Okay, great. Oh, now he's the devil now. Okay, great. And now he's dead. Doesn't matter. There was one reason why the vast majority of people are going to see this film. One reason, 10 seconds, and we got it. We got it. We got it. We got it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we got it. We got it. And perhaps not in the way that I wanted it, but you can't have everything that you want in this life. And I'm just so grateful to The Rock. You know, like, it's like, I don't know The Rock obviously, but I just feel like he's like, he's got my back, he's got your back, he's got all the people who've been begging Warner Brothers to bring this guy back as the world's greatest hero. Perhaps with not the music I want, but they brought him back. He's back. He's there, and he looked great. I love his new haircut. You know, it's very comic-y. Um, but as I say, the action in this film is very Snyder-esque. Okay, there's a lot of slow-mo and speed ups and things and arms getting ripped off and all that kind of stuff. Very Snydery in its action, but in its tone, it looks to me like they are kicking that into touch. So when people say, here he is, when people are saying Justice League is canon and Snyder Cut isn't, I feel may be correct. I feel that maybe that has happened in the past. I was always leaning into, you know, perhaps the Snyder Cut would have happened, but it looks very much like the suit. The color of the suit was the same as it was in Justice League. The tone of the film, I mean, Justice League was all over the place and crap, but the tone is kind of similar in Black Adam. You know, it's shot a lot brighter. It's not bleached out like a Snyder movie. There's some humor in there which you don't really get in a Snyder film. So I think the Snyderverse is in the rearview mirror. May it return? Who knows? But it looks like this is what they're doing now. They're going forward. Bring your popcorn, buckle up. You're not going to get a Randian exploration into what it means to be a god living on Earth, and you know, you've been brought up as a human, and the trauma. No, this is going to be Superman catching helicopters and saving Lois Lane, and eventually he's going to fight Black Adam.
Yeah.
I'm there for it, man.
Clearly this is and Michaelito says ciao. Thank you, Michaelito, for stopping by. We always love having you here. Enjoy the rest of your day. He is known for his catchphrase, watch content, form opinion, everybody. Certainly we do encourage that as well. What I was going to say is that this anticipation, you know something, Russ, a few weeks ago, you and I were talking about this. Someone asked me if I could do any type of movie, what would it be? And I did mention that I would want something with Superman in it. And never in my wildest dreams, Russ, did I ever imagine that I would be seeing Superman on Thursday night. So this was, you know, something that I've been waiting for forever, a huge desire, a very strong superhero desire to see Cavill. And this was just so amazing. Viola Davis as that character that everybody can't remember her
Amanda
name,
Waller.
as Amanda Waller was back. And boy, I think this is maybe you know, to be honest with you, when I first saw her, I think it was in Suicide Squad, that character last year. I thought she was the breakout character because she was so in charge. You know, nobody can hold a candle to her. You can't go back to her and tell her you couldn't finish the job. She sent you right back out there until you do it. And I think that she is somebody who's so enchanting as this Amanda Waller character that, of course, we were not surprised when she showed up and she said, you know, there is someone else that has powers that, you know, could possibly defeat you from another world. And it was just, we all knew who it was going to be. Um, but
I've actually got literally, I've literally got goosebumps as I'm thinking about that moment. I'm not even lying. I'm not lying. I was reliving it as you're talking about it. Sorry.
well, yeah, it was incredible. But Russ, I was not expecting to be so won over by The Rock as I was in this film. In other words, I didn't know what to expect from this Black Adam character. We knew Black Adam was coming. We knew all about this. This was heavily advertised. Even though the marketing, I still feel, could have been much better for someone like The Rock, who is, shown that he can, he's a good actor. He's, capable of making films like this, especially demanding films. I imagine he probably did a lot of his own stunts. There's nobody else who could do stunts the
Mm,
way, who could double for The Rock. Who would it be? Maybe a cousin or something. But the point is that this man wanted to be a superhero. He got this, the role of Black Adam. He's been working on it for 6 years. Russ, you mentioned it in previous, broadcasts that we've talked about this, and we're seeing it in plain sight. I have a feeling we're going to see some of the toughest, roughest fights of Superman and Black Adam, and perhaps even more characters of this Justice Group, and maybe other ones that will show up. I don't think it's just going to be limited to Superman, Russ. I think we're going to get much, much more. And I also want to thank the person who tipped anonymously
mm.
for $5. Thank you, whoever you are, wherever you may be. Thank you so much for the $5 tip and donation. We so appreciate it. It is so generous, and it does make a big difference for us here. And Russ, I know that they just hinted. Now it's not even a hint anymore. Cavill is here, and he's, like, I chose this picture because I kind of feel as if it's more of a, I was here all along.
Mm.
They they wouldn't show me, but I've been here. Like, I feel like this picture kind of is like, oh, you thought I was gone? No way, people. I've always been here. I've always been at the ready. Um, Russ, we've wanted to have a standalone movie to follow Man of Steel, but I'd be satisfied if it was something maybe against, where he fights Black Adam or has to fight him and then they have to team up or something.
Well,
Um,
Rock said this, didn't he? Like he was being interviewed by somebody, and the guy said, "So come on, are Superman and Black Adam gonna fight?" And the Rock said, "Well, that's the obvious thing to do, isn't it? That's easy. We don't want to do easy. We want to build this. We want to lead up to these things. We don't want to rush it. We want to take our time. It's all Marvel Phase One, right? This is what the blueprint, the roadmap has been set, and DC chose not to follow it. They messed with Snyder's vision and curtailed their own success by doing so. Now 10 years on, the Rock's like, yeah, of course they're going to fight, but it's not going to be Black Adam. The next Superman movie is me versus Superman. No, they're apparently, the rumors are coming out now, they're making the next two Superman films back to back. They need to. Henry Cavill's not getting any younger. These films, we've got 10 years of this, right? And then if you think about it, in 10 years, the Rock's going to be 60, Cavill's going to be 40, 50, however old he's going to be in 10 years time. We've got a 10-year run of this, and they're going to have to get these movies out fast. You know what I think Black Adam needs? I think Black Adam needs a Batman versus Superman ultimate cut. That's what I think it needs. An R-rated cut. Let's actually see the film that they wanted to make, as opposed to the film that they had to give us. And I think that will do really, really well on DVD and Blu-ray, as BVS did, and it will get a reappraised. I imagine there's a lot more going on in this film than what we saw. And it's kind of obvious. It's the pacing's all over the place. The origin story of the bad guy, it's as I said, it's just The Rock killing people for 2 hours, right? There's more to it. I want to see the R-rated violence. I want to see a longer movie, and I hope that they do that. I always thought they would do that with Batman: The Dark Knight. That film always felt like 40 minutes too long or 40 minutes too short for me. And I think there's so much missing from Black Adam. I would love to see. I'd love to see more of it. But yeah, look, it was okay. It was good. It was a 7 out of 10. And they've set their roadmap, and I wish it all the success.
I do too, and I think we're going to get a more complicated story going forward, Russ. Clearly, they had speed bumps with the marketing. They had speed bumps with trying to re-edit, reshape this film into something that had to include Superman, which you and I both agree was added at the end sometime, maybe in the past few months, Russ,
It
right?
was in September. They said they did it in the middle of September. It's very, 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 very recent. You know, this was the deal had to be made. Uh, we now know without a shadow of a doubt that this was actually spite, right? What actually happened was Cavill was always supposed to appear at the end of Shazam, right? That was the deal. But because he was Superman, he was like, well, no, I want more money and I want more Superman films and I want more creative control, and you're going to have to give it to me because I'm Superman, and that's the bed, and you need to pay me. And Toby Emmerich turned around and said, F this guy, no, we're not going to pay you. We're going to cut you out. And for 10 years, or 5 years, or however long it's been since Shazam, throws the guy out because he wanted paying for his services, essentially. So it was the trifecta of Sarnoff, Emmerich, and Hamada based that decision off that one conversation or those conversations with Henry Cavill. F this guy. Who do you think you are? You'll see what we'll do now. We're going to make Supergirl the hero and Batgirl the hero, and all these mad decisions that torpedoed the DC brand, frankly. And that's it. Them's the facts as they've now been released.
Yeah, it's quite a thing, Russ. And certainly, certainly, there's a lot to talk about. We've just kind of just scratching the surface here. For the anonymous tip, the person says, by the way, if you can he says, if I can get you all sidetracked with a crazy left hook, what are your top 3 songs? I know you are a huge fan of music, RM, from martial arts movies. LOL. This is tough.
Sorry, before you answer that, this is crazy. I was watching a stream with a Scott Adkins interview. It's this
Yes.
guy, yeah, and this guy's from Portugal, and he asked Scott Adkins this very question: "What are your favorite tunes from martial arts movies?" It's a real tough one to answer. But you go, and or do you want me to go?
Yeah, you should go, Russ. I can't think of what they
Um,
are.
let's have a think. Do you know it's as cheesy as hell, right? But the Kumite song from Bloodsport is so 80s and so awesome all at the same. It's so bad yet so good. It's by a guy called Stan Bush, Paul Herzog, who I know. Because I'm trying to hook him up with Adkins, because Adkins said, having been asked this question, I'd love to work with Paul Herzog. I'm like, I know Paul Herzog, so I'm trying to make that happen. But yeah, it's called Kumite, and it's such a manly song. It's like the chorus is like men chanting Kumite, Kumite. It's so good. And then there's what else is there? Um, the best of the best. Something's wrong. I can't remember the name of the song, but that's really good. It's like training montage music.
Mhm.
Um, so that's definitely Kumite, definitely the best of the best one. And I think there's one also in Kickboxer called The Streets of Siam. Again, cheesy. Again by Stan Bush, and the chorus is "Everybody loves a winner." It's so 80s, but so great. So there you go. We Kumite, best of the best, and Streets of Siam.
Yeah, that's a very good choice, and I can't seem to bring any songs from martial art films to mind. And I feel like I can't answer this right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, Jamin calls it. It's from the Bruce Willow podcast with Scott Adkins. I just watched that one. So yeah, it was Bruce Willow. Yeah, I wrote to Bruce Willow and said, "Look, can you get this message to Adkins?" But I haven't heard back yet.
Yes, but anonymous, thank you for asking this question. I'll go ahead and go back into see what I can find, because I guess fairly recently I haven't been seeing movies that have theme songs to them. So I've got to go back to my 90s and 80s choices and kind of look and see what's there, or maybe even the 70s.
The good old days.
To answer this question, we haven't really been getting movies that have theme songs anymore, and that is something that we were talking about the other day. But I promise you, I will answer this question for you, not in this broadcast, but in the next one. I'll go back and watch some of the films and see which ones I can remember.
Oh my
And
God, it was thunder. That's what it was. That huge crash. Like, there's been another one now. It's rolling thunder. That's what's making this. It's really loud, man.
wow, my
Mm.
goodness. That is very interesting. Um, So, oh, Jim Correa says the only thing off of Black Adam, the only thing off of Black Adam is Amanda Waller has a character. I hate her just as bad as villain. Oh, so he doesn't like, a lot of
I
people
think that's
don't
kind of the
like.
point, though, isn't it? She's supposed to be horrid. Like, she's the head of this government department, and she captures villains with superpowers and sends them off to do things and puts bombs in their head in case they. She's a ruthless, horrible person. So if you hate her, I think you're kind of supposed to.
Yes, she is a bad guy, but she gets the job done and she does what nobody else wants to do. So that's her justification. I think that the actress Viola Davis is incredibly
Mm,
talented.
mm.
I think she could play anything. And of course, she was known for How to Get Away with Murder on television, along with a ton of other movie roles.
Yeah, my God, yes, of course she was. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. My ex-wife used to love that show. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, she was great in that. Of course, she's sort of in the controversial film, The Woman King, but she was good in that anyway, even though the film was controversial. She doesn't really give a poor performance. Six Scale Cantina says, Winner Takes It All from Over the Top by Sammy Hagar, baby.
Oh, somebody called
Yes.
this out as well, and I missed it, and I should have said the best song from any martial arts film is actually Mortal Kombat from the 1990s
So it's an
movie.
electronic, it's an EDM song,
It's
right,
an
Russ?
EDM song, yeah.
It's like
Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, exactly. Mortal Kombat.
yeah. I
Yeah,
do
it's
love that
brilliant.
song. It's hard for me, but I don't know the name of the song. But you're right. That was a great song. Certainly. And it's ironic. Darth Plato says that Bloodsport has a great tune throughout it. Bloodsport 1, is that true?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's by Paul Herzog, and it's they they're the sort of two defining Jean-Claude Van Damme movies from that era. And they're both scored by Herzog, and the scores to both of them are absolutely iconic. They're really, really great synthy scores. I love them.
Absolutely. And Jin Korea says, and why would Superman answer her, meaning Amanda Waller's call? This is a good
because
question.
the plot has to happen, Jin. I think how else is it going to happen? I guess is the point here. Because if Superman turns up of his own volition, then they're going to have to fight, and it's a different movie. And yeah, I imagine you're quite right. Why would he? He's not in Task Force X. He's nothing to do with Waller. In fact, he in Man of Steel, he sort of makes it very clear to General Swanwick that you can't control me and you never will. Like, he kind of makes a statement he's never going to work with the government. He's going to do his own thing. Yet here he is working for the government. I think as they said, it's not a reboot, it's a reset. Much of what has come before, I think, is going to be ditched, and that's obviously part of it. The plot had to happen. That's what it is.
Absolutely. And Rogue Thinker mentions the theme from Rocky 2. Of course, it's Rising Up Back on the Street.
That's from Rocky 3. I'm a bit of a Rocky nerd. I'm going to have to tell you that's Rocky 3, not Rocky 2.
It's Rocky 3, guys. The Eye of the Tiger, which was a great song. Mortal Kombat, which we mentioned, and You're the Best from Karate Kid.
Which was supposed to be the theme in Rocky 3 and was rejected.
Really? I'm
And
trying
they
to think
chose Eye of the Tiger instead of You're the Best.
how does You're the Best? It's like on the tip of my tongue, but I
You're
can't
the best around. Na, 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 na. You're the best in
remember.
town.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I remember it now.
Well, because of my excellent singing, clearly.
No, it's okay. Nathan Trujillo says Top Gun Maverick, and hi Nathan. Had some great theme songs, absolutely. But remember, they had the fantastic writer. What's that guy's name? He pretty much wrote all the music for so many of the, like Danger Zone.
Oh, you're thinking of Kenny Loggins.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
on the writing team for that. So, that was kind of, if I wish they had somebody like Kenny Loggins now writing
I tell
whole
you what, though, I tell
albums
you
of
what,
music.
it's not my favorite one. It's not my favorite tune from Top Gun, and I was kind of upset they didn't play this one in the sequel. I really liked Mighty Wings, the one the one that they play when they're doing their sort of dogfighting drills with Michael Ironside, and they've got that theme tune playing. Mighty Wing, I think it's by Cheap Trick. Was my favorite tune
Oh.
from Top Gun. Yeah, they didn't have it in the sequel though.
Well, there's also, since we're talking about movies like that, I think it's Iron. Is it Iron Eagle? And
Lou Gossett Jr. Yeah,
yes, and there's the Queen song. I think it's something like one chance, one something, one. I think it's
kind
a
of
Queen.
magic.
Yes. I really like that song. I think that's a fantastic
But that
song.
was the theme from Highlander. That whole kind of magic, because Queen did the music, some of the music for Highlander. Funny enough, I worked with the guy who wrote the music for Highlander and Lethal Weapon. His name was Michael Kamen. He's dead now. He passed away. And it was back in the 80s. This, and my mate Eugene was a massive Highlander fan. Like, he absolutely nerded out on that film. And I said to Michael, could you sign this piece of, like, give my friend an autograph? He said, yeah, sure. And he wrote on the paper, I've never forgotten it. He wrote, to Eugene, friend of Russell and Highlander buff, there can be only one. And then underneath, he wrote "ba-bum, ba-ba-bum, bum, bum, bum," in musical notes, like he did the notation from the film. It was really cool.
That
Yeah,
does sound cool.
it
That
was. It was
is,
really nice of him. Yeah,
yeah, wow. That's amazing. Um, yeah.
we got loads of chats though, and we should try and catch up here.
Yes, I'm so behind. Six Scale Cantina says, even though Over the Top was an arm wrestling, let's just call it martial arts, my friends. I'm a fifth-degree black belt, and I say it's okay.
Are you really? Wow, that's impressive.
Thank you, Aries. Of course, we appreciate your comments. Dr. Sleep is here, who says, Doctor Who regeneration episode, and no one cares. LOL.
I'm not a Whovian, mate. I couldn't tell you that. I know. I understand that Gary Nerdrotic is a massive Doctor Who fan. Even when I used to watch it when I was a kid, hide behind the couch when the music came on and all that sort of thing. But it's not on my radar. I'm sorry, I couldn't comment on anything to do with it with any uh, expertise at all. Not that I can comment on much with any expertise, but especially not Doctor Who.
Well, we apologize. Yeah, we're not as well versed in Doctor Who, but there has been a lot of chatter about Doctor Who recently. Maybe something is in the pipe for that. Jaman D, who has been so generous to the channel today, says, I hope you watch Accident Man Hitman's Holiday. Is that the second one, Russ?
That's the second one, yeah.
I saw Accident Man. I saw the first Accident Man, Jermaine D. So I am eager to see it. And he says that I just saw it and is one of my top 3 action movies in the past 5 years. I hope you check it out. Of course, I am going to. I kind of wanted to do something with it with you, Russ, to review the movie.
We really should.
Yeah, we should cover it. So Jamindi, hopefully in the next month, Russ and I will review Accident Man, Hitman's Holiday. It certainly is worth viewing, as well as the original Accident Man.
The thing is, like, Accident Man 1 and 2, this one leans a lot more into sort of comedy. Like, it's basically it's not a knockabout stupid film, but it's funnier than the first one. And this is the thing about Adkins, like, he was talking about Accident Man 2. And the fights in it are a lot different to Accident Man 1. He said, yeah, look, we went all out to do a Hong Kong action style. So you can see it's very, very martial arty. Like, it's all these kind of blocks and they're all doing, it's like what that was their intent. But if you go and watch another one of his films, which isn't jokey at all, it's called Avengement, where he plays a guy that's institutionalized and comes out of prison. And the whole film is basically set in one location in a pub. And that sounds like really, really boring, but it is one of the most violent films I've ever seen, and the tone is entirely different. Then you've got his other recent one called One Shot, which is like a military drama about an attack on a black ops base. And the guy's really, really versatile. All his films are different. The only thing that kind of unites these films is him and how excellent it's him and Michael J. White are basically carrying that Jean-Claude Van Damme, Chuck Norris, dare I say Steven Seagal torch from those days, because there's nobody else out there making films like this at the moment. And let's face it, they're knocking on a bit. Scott Adkins is 46. Which is no age really, but there's what I mean is there's no younger guys that are carrying this candle anymore. And we often, if you watch a channel called Viking Samurai, who talks about these 80s, 90s action films a lot, there is a gap in the market for this, but the movie making economics of things like Accident Man just aren't there. So they keep saying, why isn't there a part of a studio that makes movies for $10 million? Well, because that movie won't make $10 million back, and that's the thing. So this is like people want these products, but they're very, very difficult to get made. Look, I'm still trying to get the arena off the ground. It's been 5 years, and it's like what, $3.5 million film. You think we can find, $3.5 million is a lot of money, right? But not for a movie, you'd think. But geez, so many changes, so many investors, so many things that the hoops that you're having to jump through to try and get a crappy little karate movie made is unbelievable. So more power to Scott and Michael J. White and all those guys, and I hope that there's some more of them coming down the road. But yeah, highly recommend, and we should review it.
And I do want to say hello to Stavros. Stavros, I'm not quite sure if I said hello to you earlier, but thank you for being here. He also agrees that Mortal Kombat Say No Less on the soundtrack as well. And we also have another comment from Jermaine. I was thinking, he says he was watching Thinking Critical podcast, and they had a guest on who knew about Sup's cameo, the Superman cameo in advance, and also have heard that they were putting him in Flash movie now as well. Not sure how
Flash has been completely reshot. Apparently that they've just started again with that one. I saw as I was scrolling through, and you might know this, have they replaced Ezra Miller now? Has he been sacked or what, or don't we know yet? Because I saw something about that, but I haven't caught up with it. Anyway, more chats.
Yeah, this is a good question. I'm not sure, so I'm not going to say anything. Rogue Thinker says, as others have pointed out, Amanda Waller shouldn't have access to Justice Society or Justice League, but should have had access to Suicide Squad. Okay. Six Scale Cantina says, I really like the theme song from Walker, Texas Ranger when Chuck sang that, but it's a TV series, and that's okay.
I haven't heard Chuck Norris singing. I'm gonna go and seek that out. I never saw Walker, Texas Ranger, to be honest with you.
Nathan Trujillo says, but Superman wouldn't allow anyone to control him on purpose, as you mentioned, Russ, or someone mentioned that. Why would he come to the call? The end credit scene was ridiculous. Stavros says there can be only one. That's yes,
Highlander.
Absolutely. And also, Pod Racing Palpatine says hello today.
Hello.
So good to see you. Also, Six Scale Cantina talks about Navras from the Juno Reactor. From The Matrix was an incredible piece of music. I guess we call The Matrix a sort of martial arts movie. Lots of it in ways, absolutely. And once again, we have the sex bots in the chat, guys. Don't click on those. And Joey Johnson says hello. Well, you know something, Russ? We are reaching the 2-hour mark. And honestly, everybody here wants to know, where can people find you, Russ?
Well, usually here on a Sunday, or I have a website that's 1,000 years out of date at russellwhitfield.com, and you can email me at contact@russellwhitfield.com should you so wish to, as Darth Plato has on several occasions, which is always lovely to hear from him. But more importantly, where can we find you, RM?
Guys, you can find me here on Positive Fandom, of course. And you can also find me on the Post Geek Singularity for my Ladies of the PGS show, which is a live show on Monday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be doing that show tomorrow with Lorena Creole, where we're going to be talking more about Black Adam, but in a different way, guys. And I think you know what I mean. So that is coming up. Rogue Thinker talks about Jodie Whittaker's last episode is today, and she will die and regenerate into a different Doctor Who. And so people are happy about that. And I have to say, I agree. It's been torture, those episodes that she's in. I'm sorry, but they weren't great. And Jermaine D says, Avengement is amazingly acted, and I think its best performance. Is he referring to Who is he referring? Is it Scott?
It's
Another?
Scott Adkins. This is funny. This came up on the podcast, and I think Adkins takes a little bit of umbrage with this because they often call him a martial artist first, but he said to the bloke who was doing the interview, Bruce, he said, "Well, I'm actually a classically trained actor. Like my first gig was on a soap opera called Doctors, and then he was in a soap opera here called Hollyoaks." So he didn't start off. He always wanted to be an action star, but he's a classically trained actor, and he's very good. He's very good. He's a good actor, and he brings. But of course, he's got this incredible physical dynamism. And the guy asked him, why haven't you? He had to frame this quite delicately because basically he said, well, why aren't you a bigger star? Was basically the question. Why haven't you been given this shot? Why aren't you in a massive Scott Adkins movie? And Adkins answered the question fairly honestly and just said, well, because I think I was so desperate for work and success when I was young. I did a lot of movies that I perhaps shouldn't have done, a lot of B movies, a lot of low budget movies, and that's my price tag now. That's where people see me, and then they're not going to give me that chance. I wish they would, but those are the breaks.
Well, you make a good point, and Jermaine goes on to say, in Arts of Action, Scott had Joey Ansa, who directed and wrote Street Fighter web series on YouTube, and he said he has been pitching the show to major studios, but they didn't want him to show run it because he's not a big name. He had even directed an episode with David Ayer. Now, for the pilot, now David Ayer's name sounds familiar, Russ.
Yeah, he's the guy that did Suicide Squad.
Yes. And Rogue Thinker says, take care and farewell. Yes, guys. Thank you for taking care of the sex bots. Tom, thank you for taking care of the sex bots.
Mm-hmm.
And Darth Plato says, House of the Dragon finale coming up. Mm-hmm. We cannot wait for that. And I think that Mario makes a good point. I really do need to see the Snyderverse. We need closure, guys. We need closure.
I don't think we're going to get it. Look, guys, anyone that watches this show regularly or even in passing knows that I am a dyed in the wool Zachalite. I think I loved his take. I loved what he did. But, I just think we have to accept that that's in the rearview mirror. For whatever reason, as much as I love it, if you look at the cold hard facts, those films made money, but they didn't make Marvel money, and they're always going to be tarnished with that. Warner Brothers interfered with Snyder's vision. The films ended up being very, very divisive. I can lay the blame at Warner Brothers for BVS. I think Snyder himself has to take responsibility for Man of Steel. His take was brilliant, and as I've said so many times, if that film came out in 2022 as opposed to 2013, it'd be multi hundreds of billion-dollar success. It's such a brilliant film, such an interesting take on that character, but people weren't ready for it at the time, and it was divisive. I get very cross when people say Zack Snyder doesn't understand Superman, he ruined him in that film. No, that is not true, and I've said it before and I will say it again. That film came out in 2013. New 52 came out in 2011. Okay, the DC reboot thing, and the character was comic accurate as it was at the time. Superman was a lot more mopey and introspective, and it was an entirely legitimate and accurate take on the comic character, in the same way that the Dark Knight was based on Miller's stuff. And it was always part of Zack Snyder's fan to take Superman from boom boom to boom 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 boom. That was always going to be the plan. But Warner Brothers, as I said, and I can't think of a better way to say it, they shit the bed because Superman didn't make $1 billion. BVS was never supposed to be the second movie. Snyder wanted to do Brainiac. He wanted to do all sorts of different things. No, we've got to have Superman. Batman's our cash cow. If we put him in the film with Superman, it will be a smash hit. Snyder does what he can with that. No, they go and cut out 40 minutes of the film. The film makes no sense. All of that stuff, as a passionate Snyder defender or a justifier or whatever you want to call me aside, ultimately those films were not as successful as Warner Brothers wanted them to be. And even if you're Zaslav looking back and it thinking, well, they were divisive. Yes, Zack Snyder's Justice League was a big hit, but it was a big hit because of circumstance and all that sort of thing. I don't want divisive. I want popcorn, and I want as many asses on those seats as possible. And I'm going to give people what I think that they want. And Black Adam is indicative of that to me. So no, I do not think we will see Zack Snyder complete his vision. I can only hope he'd be back for Justice League 2 and 3, but I don't see it. I think it's gone.
Well, you know what? we didn't know we were getting Superman back. So since that has happened, I'm just gonna keep praying that we will get more, because we're getting something we didn't think we were gonna get. We were
Mm.
hoping for this for so long. Dino Dinosaur says, Russ, all the best with your project.
Thank you so much.
And Tom Jr. Jackson reminds us that there is a Let's Get Physical Media with Robert Meyer, Burnett, and Dieter on the PGS today.
Another Scott Adkins fan over there, isn't he, Dieter?
Yes, he certainly is. And thank you so much, Dino Dinosaur, saying that you love the show, and we love you too. Oh, and Lorena Creole has just popped in. Hi, Lorena. I hope you are well. Yes, you are sliding in at the end, but it is good to see you guys. Check out Lorena Creole's channel. Certainly a wonderful channel. And I will be streaming with Lorena on Monday at 6 p.m. Ladies of the PGS. So do check that out, everybody. And on behalf of thank you, Tom Jr. Jackson. We are all goof people for moderating and collaborating with us. On behalf of me, and Russ, and Tom. Please come back every Sunday for a new episode of Sunday Brunch Live. Thank you to everybody who is here. I hope you all have a great rest of the day. And remember, for all of you out there, always remember to please be kind. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.